Hey everyone, if you're an HR professional in India, you know that for decades the world of labor law has been, well, a complicated web to say the least. But that's all changing. A massive overhaul has happened, and today we're going to break down one of the most critical pieces, the new code for workplace safety.
So to really get a sense of just how big a deal this is, let's just think about the old system for a second. For years and years, workplace safety was governed by this many separate central laws. Yep, 13 different acts.
And you can imagine, this old system was a real minefield. The laws weren't just numerous, they often contradicted each other and were incredibly complex. For HR managers, this just meant a huge compliance burden and, frankly, a lot of confusion.
Well, that era is over. The government has taken all of that complexity and streamlined it into the Occupational Safety, Health, and Working Conditions Code 2020. We just call it the OSH Code. It's one single, comprehensive rulebook designed to bring clarity and simplicity to everyone.
So, what's the big idea here? It's actually pretty straightforward. The main goal is to consolidate and modernize a legal framework that was, let's be honest, long overdue for an update. This code basically takes a century of different laws and makes them fit for today's workplace. And just look at the sheer scale of this change. We are talking about some real heavy hitters here, laws that have governed entire industries for generations. Things like the Factories Act, the Mines Act, the Contract Labor Act, all of them, and 8 others, are now folded into this one single code. Okay, so with all those old laws gone, the next big question is, who does this new code actually apply to? The scope has been totally redefined, and it is absolutely crucial for every HR professional to understand where these new lines are drawn.
The new thresholds are way clearer. For factories, it's pretty simple. 20 workers if you use power, 40 if you don't. But look at that third line, and this is so important. For any kind of hazardous work, these safety rules apply even if you have just one employee. Safety is absolutely non-negotiable there. And the code doesn't just simplify, it also expands protections. Take the definition of an interstate migrant worker. It's now much broader. And critically, it now covers people who move on their own for work, not just those who are recruited. That extends a huge safety net to so many more people.
Now, let's get into what is probably one of the most fundamental shifts in this entire code. See, historically, the burden of safety fell almost completely on the employer. Well, this code changes that whole dynamic. It makes workplace safety a truly shared responsibility.
The employer's duties are laid out crystal clear. Of course, they have to provide a safe environment, but now they also have to offer free annual health checkups. And checkout number 3, every single employee has to get a formal appointment letter. That is a massive step towards formalizing the workforce.
And here's where things get really interesting. This isn't just a one-way street anymore. For the first time, this code actually writes into law specific, enforceable duties for the employees themselves. And this is what that shared responsibility actually looks like. Employees are now legally required to take care of their own safety, to cooperate with the company on safety rules, and, this is huge, to report any unsafe conditions they see. This empowers them to be a real part of creating a safe culture.
Okay, let's switch gears and talk about something every HR pro deals with pretty much every single day: working hours, overtime, and leave. The OSH Code really tries to bring some much-needed uniformity to all of this.
So here are the new national standards. The workday is capped at 8 hours. For annual leave, the math is now standard across the board. You earn 1 day of leave for every 20 days you work. And a really key change is you can now carry forward up to 30 days of unused leave to the next year. It just brings a lot of clarity.
And what about overtime pay? No more guesswork or state-by-state rules. The rule is now universal and totally clear. Any work beyond your standard hours has to be paid at a rate of at least double your normal wages. Period.
All right, now we're going to get into 2 areas that have seen some of the biggest and honestly most talked about updates in the new code: contract labor and the rules around employing women.
Let's start with contract labor, because this is a big one for businesses. The old rule usually kicked in at 20 workers. Now there's a single nationwide standard, and that threshold has been raised to 50 workers for all contractors.
But raising the threshold is only half the story. The real headline for HR planning is this massive new restriction. You can no longer hire contract workers for the core activities of your company. Basically, the main thing your business exists to do. This is going to require a major strategic rethink for a lot of companies.
This brings us to another huge change, and a question that comes up all the time. It removes a barrier that's been around for decades. So what's the deal? Can women now work night shifts in any establishment?
And the answer is a clear yes, but. And this is a very important but. It comes with two non-negotiable conditions. First, the employee has to give her consent. And second, the employer is legally required to provide all the necessary safety measures. It's about opening up opportunities, but with safety built right in.
Okay, I know we've covered a ton of ground, so let's wrap this up. Let's distill everything down to the most important points that you really need to remember from this explainer.
Here are the 4 biggest shifts. 1. Consolidation. 13 laws are now 1, which makes compliance so much simpler. 2. Formalization. Appointment letters are now a must for everybody. 3. Contract labor. Remember the new threshold of 50-plus workers and that they're banned from core activities. And 4. Women's employment. Night work is a go, as long as there's consent and safety.
And that really leaves us with the big question, doesn't it? This whole code is a historic attempt to strike a very delicate balance between protecting workers and making it easier for businesses to operate. As these new rules get put into practice across the country, we'll all be watching to see how they truly reshape the Indian workplace for everyone.